You were never supposed to know their names. In dim chambers, grimoires whispered 72 words, 72 seals, 72 masks. Imagine a room of mirrors, each pane cracked, each shard reflecting not your face, but something older and eye-burning, a crown glimmering, a whisper echoing. One by one, they step forward, kings with voices of thunder, dukes who command legions, healers whose touch can scorch, tricksters whose smiles drip with venom. These are the 72 spirits of the Ars Goetia. For centuries, their names were spoken only in trembling ritual. Marbas, who brings sickness and heals it. Buer, who teaches philosophy in the form of a wheel. Payman, crowned and radiant, commanding obedience like sun commands shadow. Each is a fragment of psyche, a mirror of hunger, fear, ambition. But religion called them demons, chained them in books of condemnation. Popular tales twisted them into monsters. The truth is stranger, more dangerous. They are not enemies outside you, they are archetypes inside you. Every whisper and dream, every obsession gnawing silently, every fear that refuses to die may be one of them, clawing at mirror you dare not face. The seals carved in ink are not just drawings, they are keys. The names written in ash are not decorations, they are passwords. And when you speak them, when you stare too long, when you awaken the mirror, you do not summon a stranger, you summon yourself. So ask, when the 72 watch from the shadows, are they demons waiting to devour fragments of your soul, waiting to return? Chaos is easy to dismiss. Monsters roaming without pattern, shadows howling without order, those you can forget. But the Goetia terrifies because it is not chaos, it is architecture. 72 spirits arranged not as random phantoms, but as kingdom, court, machine. They move with ranks, titles, jurisdictions. Kings enthroned at the top. Dukes, princes, marquises, presidents, knights arrayed beneath each commanding legions. This is not a carnival of horror. This is government of shadow. Open the grimoire, and the structure reveals itself. For great kings dominate the compass. Amaman in the east, Corson in the west, Ziminyar in the north, Gap in the south. Beneath them, legions subdivide. Dukes carrying 30 armies, marquises commanding 20, counts a dozen. Each number precise, as if echoing an astral bureaucracy. To summon one spirit is to disturb chain of command. To call Payman is to call crown. But his arrival resounds through entire hierarchy, like striking one chord and hearing orchestra vibrate. Why such meticulous order? It's because the psyche itself is not chaos. It is kingdom of desires, fears, ambitions, instincts. The Goetia maps it in language of medieval courts. Kings represent sovereignty, the ruling drives. Dukes represent ambition, marquises subtlety, presidents cunning, knights sudden forces of passion. It is allegory and architecture at once. To know the ranks is to see map of your own unconscious. Imagine this architecture as astral court. 72, throne circle, vast hall. Each throne carved with sigil, glowing faint crimson. Each throne empty until invoked. When names spoken, seat occupied not by horned stranger, but by fragment of soul forgotten. The court fills with your shadows. The architecture is your mirror. Sensory fragments reveal weight of this order. Candlelight flickers on page, listing legions as if army roster. Whispers of names sound like roll call. Air thickens, heavy with hierarchy, not random presence, but regimented authority. You feel not haunted, but presided over, as if entering courtroom where 72 judges wait. Ancient correspondences reinforce design. 72 names of God in Kabbalich, countered by 72 spirits of Goetia. 72 disciples of wisdom mirrored by 72 legions of shadow. Even astronomy echoes. The precession of equinox across zodiac spans 72 years per degree. Number is law, repetition is code. The Goetia does not invent it, reflects cosmic mathematics. Dante's Inferno mirrored same order, his 9 circles, each ruled by princes of hell, each punishment tailored precise. His Satan frozen in ice, chewing 3 traitors, is not chaos, but geometry. Hierarchy is prison, punishment is bureaucracy. the damned processed like files, arranged like ledgers. Dante wrote poetry, but behind verse stands same architecture, a kingdom of inversion, not randomness. The Templars accused of dabbling in such systems terrified authority not because they worshipped chaos, but because they might have mastered order. Knights could align with this architecture, command archetypes as legions, then empire itself could be reshaped. Imagine soldiers trained as much in psyche as in sword. Imagine banking, law, politics, all infused with Goetic precision. Whether fact or myth, accusation reveals fear. The system is too structured, too dangerous to be mere superstition. Modern reflections prove persistence. Corporations organize as hierarchies, CEOs as kings, managers as dukes, teams as legions. Governments mirror, same with presidents, ministers, officers, even digital networks obey order servers, nodes, permissions. The architecture repeats because it is woven into psyche and society. The Goetia is not relic, its operating system still running. But here lies danger. When you believe demons chaos, you think they invade from outside. When you see their order, you realize they already rule inside. Each compulsion, each obsession, each hunger is legion commanded. Each fragment of psyche serves throne unseen. The architecture governs whether you acknowledge it or not. The only difference is awareness. So ask yourself, when you wake to same fear, same desire, same ritual, day after day, are you haunted by demons or governed by them? The Goetia is not waiting in dusty books. It presides over you already. Thrones occupied, legions marching. The system is alive, and it knows your name. Symbols are the true language of the Goetia. The grimoires never waste ink on prose. They offer diagrams, seals, glyphs. To the uninitiated, these appear as strange doodles, meaningless curves. But to the adept, each sigil is password, a fragment of psychic circuitry designed to bypass the rational mind and speak directly to the unconscious. The 72 are not summoned by belief alone. They are called by geometry. Each spirit bears its seal, drawn with trembling hand, repeated in ink, chalk, or blood. These lines twist and coil with uncanny familiarity, like letters from an alphabet you once knew but forgot. Payman's sigil swirls into crown-like arcs, proclaiming sovereignty. Boer's resembles wheel of healing, spokes turning in endless motion. Arax's horns curve like ancient bull, symbol of stubborn strength and hidden knowledge. Glaciolabola's burns with bird-like aggression, sharp lines cutting like talons. Each seal is not decoration, but compression of archetype into symbol. To draw one is to trace fragment of soul. The magician does not merely replicate lines, he aligns psyche to geometry. The unconscious recognizes pattern, unlocks archetype, opens gate. This is why grimoires warn, do not gaze idly at seals. To stare is to invoke. To copy without intention is to execute command without knowing syntax. The seal does not care for ignorance, functions regardless. Names themselves are symbols too. It's pronounced with care, vibrated in ritual cadence. They are sonic keys, gares, foras, malphasyllables, like notes on hidden scale. The grimoires insist on precision, for mispronunciation can corrupt resonance, connecting to husk instead of spirit. Language here is not representation, but operation. Each name recited aligns frequency. Each syllable opens channel. The circle and triangle, constant across grimoires, are master symbols. The circle, boundary and firewall, declares. The operator stands within sovereign space. The triangle drawn apart becomes screen, stage, containment field. Spirit appears within not because it is forced, but because law demands boundary. Circle protects. Triangle manifests. Seal summons. Name commands. Ritual is operating system of geometry. Sensory fragments reveal this language at work. Candlelight flickers across parchment, and sigil seems to pulse faintly, as if breathing. Chanting name builds vibration in chest. Air thickens, ears ring. The circle chalked on stone glows subtly as if barrier tangible. In dream, same sigil reappears, carved into walls of mind. The symbols live because psyche is fluent, even if tongue has forgotten. Dante encoded this logic in Inferno. His gates bore inscription, abandon all hope, not metaphor, but command. His punishment sculpted into symbols. Lustful blown by storm, gluttons drowned in filth. Each torment was sigil, archetype, condensed into suffering. Hell itself was language operating, symbols scripting reality. The Goetia functions the same. Modernity hides same mechanics, corporate logos, echo seals, geometric, abstract, designed to bypass reason, embed directly into unconscious. Brands vibrate names repeated like mantras, invoking desire, feeding archetype. Flags bear stars, triangles, circles, national seals as ritual glyphs. Even digital icons are sigils. Click and program executes, just as drawing seal summons archetype. Humanity swims in symbols, blind to their operation. Cultists whisper. Symbols enslave when unseen, liberate when read. A seal drawn unconsciously programs you. A seal drawn with awareness lets you program yourself. The difference is literacy. The grimoires are manuals for shadows language. They show not monsters but alphabets of psyche. To fear them is to stay illiterate. To learn them is to reclaim authorship. So ask yourself, how many seals have you stared at today without knowing? How many logos burned into memory? How many flags saluted? How many mantras repeated? You are already fluent in language of symbols, whether you admit or not. The only question is whether you write the script or remain character in someone else's spell. Every system demands payment. Goetia, like all architectures of power, is transactional. Rituals are not free. Seals may be ink, circles, chalk, names mere syllables, but the coin that spirits recognize is blood. Not always in rivulets staining altar stones, though such rites are written in grimoires. More often, the currency is subtler, invisible, drawn from marrow of psyche itself. The oldest currency is not gold, it is life force. The medieval magicians knew this. Some manuals spoke bluntly. A drop of blood on parchment awakens the seal. A smear of essence across sigil ignites resonance. Animal sacrifice was not symbolic, it was fuel. Lifeblood poured into circle with signal flare to unseen. Yet whispers tell darker stories. Adepts who offered infants, echoing Saturnian cults of old. Whether myth or slander, one truth remains: spirits listen when blood is offered, for blood carries soul. But Goetia rarely needs daggers. It bleeds you in subtler ways. The operator who stares into a mirror of demon pays with sleepless nights, eyes burning, body trembling. Dreams become arenas where entities feed. Archetypes erupt, demanding attention, draining vitality. Ego collapses under weight of truths too raw. This too is blood, the sacrifice of self-comfort, the hemorrhage of identity. Each invocation is payment made, whether you cut vein or not. Marbus' spirit of sickness reveals this cruelly. He brings illness to test resolve, then heals if lesson learned. His invocation often leaves body frail, as if vitality burned in negotiation. Booer, philosopher, in form of wheel, heals but at price of discipline, ego humbled, comfort abandoned. Glaciella Bolas brings violence and conflict, leaving aftermath of loss as payment. Even benevolent-seeming spirits exact toll. None arrive without demanding currency. Sensory fragments show these costs. The metallic temps rising in mouth after chanting too long, though no wound bleeds. The heavy eyelids at dawn, dreams fractured by voices not yours. The ache in chest as if heart bled energy unseen. The sudden emptiness in friendships, relationships strained after pact. Each fracture, each exhaustion, each sacrifice is receipt of transaction. The demon does not rob, it collects fee agreed upon when circle was drawn. Dante's Inferno echoes this economy. His damned bled, endlessly some, literally, others, metaphorically. The suicides transformed into trees that bled sap when branches snapped. The violent submerged in boiling river of blood. Even traitors frozen in ice paid with essence of loyalty lost. Hell ran on blood, not as chaos, but as law. Each sin paid its cost, each soul currency an endless system. Modern echoes prove continuity. Hours bled into contracts, life force traded for wages, sleep sacrificed to glowing screens. Addictions drain energy daily, obsessions gnaw psyche. The system feeds not by knives but by rituals unconscious. Every sleepless night, every cycle repeated, every sigh of despair is blood tithed to unseen archetypes. Humanity sacrifices daily without altar. The Goetia thrives because the unconscious bleeds freely. Occultists whispered paradox. Conscious sacrifice transforms blood from theft into offering. A drop given willingly sanctifies. A night endured knowingly becomes initiation. Ego humbled by choice becomes integration, not humiliation. The spirits demand blood, but awareness rewrites transaction. Payment becomes pact, not parasitism. The husks feed on ignorance. The spirits teach through conscious exchange. So ask yourself, how much have you already paid? In hours lost, in nights drained, in fragments of self abandoned? Did you sign pact without knowing? Did you bleed into rituals disguised as routine? The Goetia does not ask whether you will sacrifice. It asks only if you recognize the altar. For in the end, blood remains the oldest currency and you have been spending it all your life. Every invocation is a negotiation. Every spirit summoned arrives not as slave, but as partner bound by law. The Goetia is not a carnival of chaos, but a court of contracts. The circle is not only barrier, it is courtroom. The sigil is signature. The name spoken is clause enacted. The operator may believe he commands, but in truth he petitions, he bargains, he signs. Grimoires reveal this structure. It prescribes strict formulae. Draw the seal, pronounce the name, state the charge. Each step is legalistic, precise. The spirit appears not from whim, but from covenant. It obeys because cosmic law enforces pact, yet law is merciless. Misstate, and the pact bends. Forget clause, and spirit fulfills letter, but not spirit of request. Magicians asked for wealth, and gained riches entwined with ruin. They asked for love, and obsession devoured them. They asked for knowledge, and madness burned their minds. The Goetia answers, but it does not protect from consequences. Consider Paimon, regal and radiant. To summon him is to request sovereignty, charisma, mastery over others. Yet pact requires payment your own will bent, ego dissolved. Those who sought his crown found themselves enslaved to hunger for authority. Malfa's architect of destruction offers to build strongholds. But pact twisted leaves creations ruined, reputations shattered. Forest grants wisdom and treasures, but demands secrecy, silence. Patience without these, gift corrodes into frustration. The contract always enforces. Sensory fragments betray this law. The whisper and dream that repeats exact words you spoke in circle, claws echoed back. The sudden chain of events aligning too neatly, as if universe honored bargain. The chill in air after careless promise, realization too late that terms already sealed. The recurring obsession, relationship crumbling, opportunity gained but at strangest cost, receipts of contracts stamped in life. Infernal illustrated same law. His deepest hell reserved for traitors, those who broke pacts. Judas, Brutus, Cassius, frozen in jaws of Satan, condemned not for chaos, but for betrayal of covenant. Hell itself, structured as contracts fulfilled. Each sin clause enforced, each punishment receipt of deals struck unconsciously. Inferno was not chaos, it was contract court. Modern society replicates pacts endlessly. Every digital click of I agree is ritual consent. Every loan sign bleeds future hours into system. Every oath-spoken marriage, military, legal binds, spirit to structure, even addictions echo pact. First indulgence request, pleasure offering, consequence chain. Whether inked on parchment or whispered in circle, contract holds. The Goetia is not medieval fantasy, it is a mirror of law that governs psyche and society alike. Cultists whisper paradox. Pact is danger, but also discipline. To negotiate consciously is to focus. To set clear intention is to define clause. The demon respects precision. The one who enters blindly pays dearly. But the one who contracts with awareness transforms pact into initiation. The spirit obeys, not as enemy, but as mirror of will. The true power of Goetia is not to enslave spirits, but to learn sovereignty through law. So ask yourself, what pacts have you signed already, unknowing? What addictions repeated? What promises whispered? What obsessions rehearsed? These too are contracts, enforced by archetypes within. You need not draw circle to bind spirit. You are already in court, already signing, already paying. The question is not whether you enter contracts. The question is whether you read them. The most powerful spell ever cast was not written in blood or traced in smoke. It was inversion. To take fragments of psyche, call them monstrous. To exile sovereign instincts, brand them sins. To bury mirrors of soul beneath names like demon. The Ars Goetia, with its 72 spirits, is less a pantheon of evil than a catalog of archetypes humanity was forbidden to face. And so the great inversion began. Religion perfected this technique. The Kabbalah spoke of 72 divine names of God, facets of creation, pathways of light. The Goetia mirrored them with 72 spirits, facets of shadow, reflections of repression. One side was exalted, the other condemned. Yet both were expressions of same system. To sever light from shadow was to fracture human wholeness. Faith declared half divine, half diabolical, and humanity believed. Thus fragments of self became enemies. Consider Paimon, crowned sovereign. His archetype is mastery, influence, radiance. Yet inversion branded him tyrant, corrupter, deceiver. To seek sovereignty became sin of pride, or boor. Wheel of healing and philosophy, inonized as beastly centaur. His wisdom turned grotesque, his healing obscured. Or Fornius, who grants eloquence and friendship, labeled deceiver and tempter. The inversion worked flawlessly. Every archetype that could empower was twisted into fear. Knowledge became heresy, desire became corruption, freedom became rebellion. Pop culture reinforced the spell. Horror films painted goetic names as grotesque caricatures, horns, claws, screams. Comics and games reduced them to villains, stripping nuance, parodying archetypes. The public laughed or recoiled, but never understood. Inversion ensures no one sees mirror for what it is. Archetype hidden by costume of monster. Sensory fragments of inversion surround us. The preacher's sermon, thundering against pride and desire. The textbook dismissing grimoires as superstition. The television screen flashing horns and shadows whenever Goetia named. The whisper of shame when ambition rises. The shiver of fear when curiosity grows. None of these responses are natural. They are programmed. Rituals of inversion enacted across centuries. Dante's Inferno served same purpose. Circles of hell demonized human drives. Lust swept in storms. Gluttony drowned in filth. Curiosity condemned as heresy. Lucifer himself frozen for rebellion. The poem became catechism. Every hunger punished, every sovereignty damned. His epic was more than literature, it was spell. Goetic archetypes encoded as sins, demonized for eternity. But inversion hides deeper danger. What is repressed does not die, it festers. Archetypes exiled into shadow return as obsession, addiction, corruption. Pride denied becomes vanity. Desire denied becomes compulsion. Curiosity denied becomes paranoia. The demon is not external invader. It is shadow starving for recognition. Inversion ensures you fight fragments of your own soul, never integrating, always at war, and spirits feed on this war. Occultists whisper the antidote: integration. To see inversion, to reclaim archetype as fragment of psyche, not enemy. To know payment as sovereignty, not tyranny. To embrace boor as healing, not monstrosity. To recognize Glossia Lobola as his violence archetype. To be integrated, not worshipped, nor denied. Inversion collapses when truth named. The demon ceases to terrify when mirror accepted. So ask yourself, what strengths within you have been branded sin, which hunger's exiled, which instincts shamed, which desires condemned? How many of your archetypes kneel in shadow because culture declared them unholy? The Goetia does not create monsters. Inversion does. And until you awaken, you remain prisoner of morality reversed, fearing fragments of your own sovereignty. When people hear of the Goetia, they imagine cloaked magicians, chalk circles, bloodied knives, candles burning in endless vigil. They imagine ancient manuscripts whispered in Latin or Hebrew, midnight invocations hidden from the world. Yet the most dangerous rituals are not performed in shadowed chambers. They happen everywhere, every day. Humanity repeats the gestures of the Goetia unconsciously, officiating ceremonies without ever knowing the names of the spirits they feed. Addiction is ritual. The smoker lights flame, inhales deeply, exhaling smoke like incense. The gesture is invocation, repeated like prayer beads binding archetype of compulsion. The gambler rolls dice, whispers a plea, eyes glowing with hunger. The table becomes altar, the cards sigils, the obsession pact renewed. The lover obsessively refreshing a glowing screen, heart racing, breath shallow. This too is invocation, spirit of obsession conjured without circle. Every repeated act, every unconscious cycle, is ritual. Even ordinary routines hum with liturgy. The alarm clock becomes ritual bell, waking at same hour daily. Dressing in uniform is donning robe, walking same path to work is procession. Sitting at desk, screen glowing, is opening altar. Fingers tapping keys become tracing sigils, hours drained become offering. The workplace transforms into temple of repetition, cubicles into silent circles. The spirits feed on attention, vitality, time, sacrifice, disguised as labor. Sensory fragments prove the truth. The hum of fluorescent lights like chant of low choir. The glow of corporate logo shining like burning seal. The rhythm of slogans repeated until mind accepts, mantra binding psyche. The crowd chanting at rally, voices rising in unison, becomes invocation of archetype collective. Stadiums roar, banners wave, chants repeat. Tribal Goetia, disguised as entertainment. Pop culture replays Goetic archetypes constantly. Payment appears in films, painted as horror villain, yet millions chant his name, conjuring archetype unconsciously. Malfa's architect, mirrored in stories of empire builders, visionaries who rise and collapse empires. Booer, healer, disguised in logos of pharma and hospitals, wheel turning endlessly. Spirits still present, invoked daily by masses who do not recognize names, but live rituals nonetheless. Dante's Inferno showed same truth. The damned did not stop rituals in hell, they repeated them eternally. Lustful world by endless storms, gluttons gorged forever, traitors frozen in silence. Their punishments were not random, they were habits calcified, rituals that outlived them. Hell was ritual repeated without end. So too is modern world. Archetypes feed on cycles humans repeat blindly. Cultists whispered the hidden law. Ritual is programming. Every repeated act with focus charges psyche. Every unconscious act repeats pact. To draw seal knowingly is to write code. To smoke, to chant, to scroll, screen without awareness, is to run code written for you. Both invoke spirits. The difference is literacy. One is conscious invocation, the other unconscious servitude. So ask yourself, how many rituals did you perform today without realizing? Did you bow before glowing logo, chant name of brand, bleed hours into screen? Did you sacrifice sleep to cycle of obsession, time to idle of labor, attention to endless scroll? You do not need to copy seals of Goetia. You already serve them. The world itself is temple, and you officiate its mass daily. The only question is whether you recognize altar you kneel before. Awakening does not arrive with thunder. It comes like a crack in mirror, a faint fracture that reveals reflection you had long refused to see. At first, the Goetia appears as an external pantheon, 72 foreign entities, waiting in grimoires sealed behind circles and triangles. But then you begin to notice the seal burns because you recognize it. The name vibrates because it already lives within you. The spirits were never outside. They were fragments of yourself, long exiled, returning with crowns of shadow. Paman is not stranger. He is your hunger for sovereignty. The charisma you repress, the voice you silence when you fear standing tall. Booer is not beast. He is your capacity to heal and teach, suffocated under cynicism. Marbas is sickness and cure, reflection of the wounds you ignore until they consume you. Malphas builds and destroys because you too construct towers of ambition and sabotage them with fear. Each spirit is archetype masked, forbidden, yet waiting. Religion told you they were demons to terrify you away. Culture caricatured them into monsters to make you laugh or scream, but never integrate. Inversion was the first chain, and you wore it willingly, convinced you were safe from evil while fragments of your psyche rotted in shadow. The Goetia thrives because humanity rejects its own wholeness. But awakening is recognition. When you stare at sigil and see it echo in your dream, you realize the system runs through you. You speak name and feel resonance in chest. You know, the voice was always yours. To summon demon is to face Mira. To bargain is to confront hunger. To integrate is to reclaim what was always exiled. Sensory fragments of awakening are undeniable. A dream where a demon calls your name and the voice is yours. A sigil glowing in meditation, revealing memory long buried. A ritual performed, yet spirit appears as silhouette of yourself cloaked in smoke. The terror shifts into revelation. You were never speaking with stranger, you were listening to echo of your own depths. Dante knew this. His pilgrim walked through circles of hell, naming sins, confronting archetypes. But unlike the damned, he was not trapped. He observed, integrated, moved onward, was repetition unconscious. Dante's journey was awakening conscious. The same applies to Goetia. Without awareness, spirits enslave. With awareness, they teach. Modern echoes whisper the same. Psychology names shadow, anima, animus, fragments, exiled, demanding integration. Therapy becomes exorcism. Dreams become manifestation chambers. Self-reflection becomes ritual. The analyst and the magician share same goal, to awaken sleeper to architecture inside. Jung said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." The Goetia said same centuries earlier in language of seals and names. Awakening does not dissolve system. The 72 remain, archetypes humming, contracts awaiting. What changes is authorship. You move from pawn to priest, from slave to sovereign. You stop bleeding unconsciously and choose sacrifice with awareness. Pact transforms from curse into initiation. Demon transforms from terror into teacher. Mirror ceases to fracture and reflects wholeness. So ask yourself, when you draw a circle, when you whisper name, when you feel hunger rise, are you summoning demon or summoning yourself? The answer is both. And until you accept that truth, you remain haunted by fragments of your own soul. The Goetia was never waiting for worship. It was waiting for you to remember. The seals still glow, the 72 thrones remain. They are not monsters in shadow, but fragments of you waiting to return. The mirror is polished, the circle unbroken. Comment your thoughts, subscribe, and prepare the next descent unveils forbidden alchemy and the black sun of transformation.